of having to leave high school, of a hopeless future, you told me that abortion was the obvious solution to my problem. I don't blame you for the choice I made following that phone call. I have forgiven you. I will never forget the sights and sounds of the abortion mill or the excruciating pain that ended my child's life as I watched her remains fill up in a large jar. I left her there, alone and in pieces. I will never forget the self-loathing that I experienced that enveloped me when I faced the reality that what I had done could never be undone. I will never forget how powerless I felt, how certain I was that I would never be able to fix this. I will never forget the self-destructive path I stumbled along as I tried to numb the crushing pain through substance abuse and sexual promiscuity. I will never forget the deep abyss of loneliness and isolation that was my new home, or the feelings of being cut off from God, family, and friends. But I will also never forget the hopeful experience of turning back to God, toward truth, through a call I made to a Christian helpline. It started my journey of healing. I will never forget the hope I felt when Walter, my husband of 45 years, asked me to marry him. I will never forget the hope I had of having a large family. After 7 years of hoping for a child, I was rushed to emergency and diagnosed with a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I didn't even know I was pregnant, and now I was bleeding internally and in need of surgery to save my life. The doctor said that the baby would die if it was not already dead. I was pregnant, but I could not keep the baby. I will never forget you, dear Joseph Michael Steenstra, and the gift of clarity you brought to me. Your short life and death made me remember the awful days as a teenager, the date rape, the abortion I underwent, and the baby I left behind. This baby, Sarah Elizabeth, was no longer the horror of a positive pregnancy test, a problem to be solved, or a clump of cells filling a glass jar. Sarah was no longer a choice, but a child of God, a human being, my daughter, a person separate from me. Because of you, Michael Joseph, I faced the reality of abortion, and in a way, I met Sarah face to face. From then on, I resolved to journey through my grief and regret so that your deaths would not be in vain. Fear gave way to courage. My children are why in 2003 I stood here alone to share my testimony. The following year, on May 13th, I was joined by other mothers for the first gathering of the Silent No More awareness campaign. This year marks the 20th year since courageous mothers and fathers who lost their children to abortion have joined me here on Parliament Hill to talk about a choice that robbed us of our children, the children we will never forget. The only children of my life are not here. Sarah Elizabeth died through a surgical abortion, and Joseph Michael because of the scar tissue that blocked his journey through my fallopian tube. I would later learn that I also lost a third child to abortion in between Sarah and Michael during the self-destructive aftermath of Sarah's abortion. I lost a son, Daniel Joseph, through a chemical abortion. I have no living children no grandchildren, and I continue to have many occasions to regret that when I had the chance to choose life, I instead succumbed to fear. Pope John Paul said that nothing is definitively lost. The children are with God, and that is my hope. I am certain that I will meet them one day, God willing. And until that day comes, I will never forget you, Sarah, Daniel, and Joseph. I will never be at a loss for words when the moment calls for me to speak the truth about what abortion does to children. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being silent no more with us. Please take our stories with you, share them, invite others into the journey that we will be silent no more together as Canadians for the hope and healing of this nation. Thank you for being here. And thank you to all the courageous men and women who stand with me today. May they go forth with many blessings and with all your prayers. And I ask your prayers as one last thing, as you enter into this vigil now. Please pray that every province will have a regional coordinator for Silent No More, that every province will have post-abortion ministry, and that every provinces will have witnesses to the truth of God's love and mercy. Thank you.